Hey guys, welcome back to another 90 Day Fiance chat. We're talking about 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days. 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows couples, which I always do my little spiel for those of you that don't know. One is from the US, the other person is from another country, and we get to watch them as they navigate relationship issues on top of cultural barriers, language boundaries, um, and the whole legal system as they try to become man and wife in different countries. It is 90 Day Fiance. Again, this spinoff of the franchise is Before the 90 Days. All right, we're going to get into it, starting with Magda and Joe. I'm going to try to do a condensed version. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. Magda and Joe. With them, he goes to meet the mom, but they have to do a lot of things to impress the mom. So he gets like this whole big bouquet of roses. They get some great pastries. She has a sweet tooth, and so does Magda. I assume that's what she said. So they're trying to go get all these things to impress the mom. They meet her for, I believe it's lunch or something like that. And Joel's trying to put all his work in to impress her, not knowing that Magda's already told her that, hey, this guy slept with someone else while we were supposed to be in a relationship. So he tries to make good, apologizes, and says he really is serious about her. He wouldn't be coming all of this way, and he sees a future with her and all of this. So mom translate, his phone's kind of on the fritz, half translating, half not. So at the end of the day, they have a few laughs and giggles, and Joe tells some pretty decent jokes, good enough to get mom to laugh. And it seems like they're on a decent footing at this point. She's just like, hey, I just want you guys to be happy. I want my daughter to be happy, and I want you to take care of her. So that's supposed to be the plan. So now he's like, the coast is clear. Of course, he just seems like to me that bad boy that has to trick mommy into thinking that he's okay so then he can have his way with the girl. I don't 100% know if that's where it's going to end up, but he gives me that vibe. He seems like that guy. They go and play volleyball, and I think it's a couple of guys they play against, and Joe laughs it off and acts like he was really good, but he was horrible. And he kind of talks to her about, do you play with guys a lot? And she's like, yeah, sometimes I play with guys. And then she's like, he's like, do they hit on you? And so she's like, of course, everyone hits on me, in a kind of jokey way. And she says, well, she doesn't really like to date people that she plays with because it becomes an issue. And they can become fighting over all these little things and these volleyball moves and just everything. So then the whole issue of being friends with an ex, she would never do it. So then Joe thinks about, oh, I'm friends with my ex and I haven't told you yet. So that's going to come up later in the show. But I don't think it's coming on this episode. So stay tuned for next time. Sunny and Vea. Oh, it's messy. Sunny and Vea, they had an argument after Dad kind of called her out on different things that he doesn't agree with because he's a Muslim. And certain things he doesn't like about her having tattoos, and that she's going to have to convert. So all of that was an issue, but Sunny somehow smooths it over. He takes her to this amazing resort. They get a little bit in the bedroom. And then he talks about a little bit before that, he's like, well, I'm going to have to tell her the truth at some point that she's going to have to convert and my dad's right. But in the meantime, let me sleep with her again. Let me do that part again. So he's got her on hold, not telling her all the information. They're enjoying this resort. They see monkeys. They see the Zulu dancers. They even pull them up to dance with them. So then they go for dinner, and that's when he kind of tries to really kind of tell her the truth about basically, if you want to be with me, you have to become Muslim. And he kind of lets her know, hey, I haven't been telling you the whole truth. And she's like, yeah, no kidding. and she didn't know it was to this degree that she couldn't be with him if she didn't convert. So she was like, you know what? He's like, well, you have to be open to it. You don't have to do it today, but you have to be open-minded to possibly doing it at some point because you have to. And she's basically saying, well, you're controlling me just like my family controlled me in the past. And, I had to wear headscarves and things like that and keep my head covered, and now still have to do something similar in your belief system. Can't we have our own religious beliefs and still be together and have this ideal life and this little simple life that I wanted us to have? And he's like, no, basically you have to convert. So she's like, no, I'm not. And she says a bleep word. I'm not going to bleep convert. So then he gets up and starts, his little tantrum. I'm not going to do this. He runs away all the time, and she has to always chase him down. And I'm like, man up, Sonny. You knew this was coming. You shouldn't have pulled the wool over her eyes and set this up this way. She even asked him when they get back to the room, even though he acts like he doesn't want anything to do with her. We hear her voice in the room, and she's asking like, why you didn't tell me before this? Is there some type of way we can work this out? Blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, I'm like, why didn't you tell her before this? And he's even like, why didn't I tell her before this myself? But as they were still at the table, though, she did mention that, hey, if you're really 100 to 10% Muslim and you're not just being convinced by your dad and your friend, then why are you sleeping with me? Because as far as I know, that would be against your beliefs. He's like, well, I'm young. I mess up sometime. I ask for forgiveness, but I'm totally into my religion. Well, I don't know if it's a mess up sometime thing. You're not only sleeping with her, but you're in a way lying to her as well. I don't like this guy. I said this before. Hopefully things will end. I don't know. I feel like she's trying to talk her way back into this, but she's also like, this is done at the same time. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but it looks like it's coming to an end because she doesn't want to be controlled. She wants to have her own lifestyle. And I do ask myself sometimes, why can't people have separate religions? And I've seen some people do it at times and still live together as a unit. Now, it is best to have one religious belief. Most people believe that within all the different religions, just because they say a house divided cannot stand, even though you may have morals and values in common, there are some differences. So I get that point, but I've also seen people live a happy life together with two different religions and they make it work. So I don't really know if Sonny's headed toward that. I feel like he's a little bit bullheaded. He's a little bit arrogant in his religion. To me, I think he's a little bit self-righteous, though he's not even following his religion the best that he can. He knows he's not doing right and he's calling it slip-ups. But if you know you're not doing right and you premeditatedly are doing these things, then it's not really slip-ups. It's you're consciously doing this. So for all those people with their religious beliefs, I mean, just kind of take this to account. Even Vea, who's probably not fully following whatever her beliefs is, she says she believes in God. She's even calling him out for not even being true to his faith and what he supposedly believes. So it just goes to show you, when it comes to your religious beliefs and your faith and all of that, are we picking and choosing things? Are we doing tit for tat? I mean, even neither one of them are really following the beliefs that they so-called hold true, not completely. So where's this going to go? How's this going to end? It's interesting and a little messy, and we're going to see what's going to happen with that. Faith and Lauren, they just got engaged. Lauren's going home tomorrow. I don't know why she's engaged to this guy. And for those that don't know, Faith is transgender. So even though Faith is up for marrying Lauren, She says the wedding plans are kind of crazy because he's like, well, how are we going to do this? Because they don't allow same-sex marriage in the Philippines. So he's trying to find some ways to work around it. He even suggested that he marry her mom so that at least they can be legal there in Thailand. So they talk to the immigration lawyer and they find out that his whole plan to go to, not Thailand, but the Philippines. But he had a plan to go to Thailand instead, where same-sex marriage is supposed to be legal. Come to find out, the lawyers say, no, it's not legal, but you can't go to Taiwan. And they'll recognize it there. They'll also recognize it in the States if you do it there. But the Philippines will still not recognize it. You'll be best going to the U.S. instead and getting a K-1 visa. And he's like, well, if you do get a K-1 visa, you are sponsoring that person, so you need to make a certain amount of money. And would I be able to qualify for that? Because I really don't make any money. Well, they were saying, well, that's your best bet, is to try to do that. So Lawrence disappointed. There's no escape for him from the U.S. He's like, I don't want to go back to the U.S. and I'm broke there. So they go back. They go to this nice, lavish hotel for the last night. Trying to celebrate their engagement, celebrate each other, and kind of say goodbye at the same time. And what's left of Wolf Lauren's money, they use it for that. I'm like, I didn't even know he had any money left. I'm very surprised with the amount that he brought and that he had any left, especially to go to this really nice hotel that even Faith says was really nice and they've never been there before. So Faith's like, well, what's next? How are we going to figure out what we're going to do next? He's like, well, when I go back to the U.S., got a couple friends I can live with, but I don't know which one I'm going to live with. And he smashes the can, whatever they were drinking, in his head. And then he's like, has a knife, like a butter knife, and is like kind of playing around with it. And Faith just is triggered by this. And I'm like, why? Even though I thought he was acting weird, but he always does. And it's like, you know what, we're done. I feel uncomfortable. Gave the ring back. And the producers are like, what happened with you? And Faith's basically like, I'm transgender. I'm triggered because the way he was playing with that knife, I feel like I'm shaking. I feel like I'm in danger for my life. So Faith may have actually gone through something, or maybe was just traumatized or triggered by other people's stories and knowing what has happened to other transgender people. So at this moment in time, Faith is just like, bye, I'm done. So we're going to see how that plays out. I mean, with everything that's happened with Lauren, there's been so many red flags. I wouldn't be surprised if Faith comes back if Lauren makes a plea to do so, because Lawrence has so many issues and Faith keeps, looking at him funny, side-eyeing him, but staying with it at the same time, staying with him. So I don't know how this is going to go. All right, with Advent and Tiger Lily, they talk about the future. His family is now going back to Jordan, I believe, and he's going to leave Turkey, go back to Jordan, because they kind of met in a safe zone, so to speak, and she's going to go back to Florida. So this is their last night together. They're going to this coffee shop, talking, getting little treats and all of that, but he says, I'm hoping you're pregnant because you're eating a lot. And she's unsure because she doesn't know what her fertility is, especially because she's in her early 40s and hasn't had a baby in a while he's in his early 20s. That's their age dynamic. So she's not sure about the baby part. And then they talk about, well, if you can't have a baby, he's like, in my belief system, he's also Muslim, I believe. If you can't have a baby, I can marry someone else and they can have the baby, and you can have up to 4 wives. And she's like, no way. If you ever did that, then I'm going to have to think of how many ways I can kill you, and I will kill you, and you can choose which one. So I totally understood where she was coming from on that level, but she said she thought that the polygamy in that country, that polygamy was kind of an old thing they did back in the ancient times, and they were no longer doing it. But Adnan confessed that his dad did it, and it messed up his relationship with his mom. His mom ended up divorcing him because he was giving all his time to his new wife. So I thought that was interesting, and I knew something was a little different about his mom. And I don't know how acceptable divorce is, but in that case, I guess it was allowed to be so. But I felt like she was just a little bit more progressive than some of the other Muslim women I've seen. So I don't know if she's still divorced, if she ever remarried or anything like that. But so we get to hear some backstory. He said he didn't have a great relationship with his dad because his dad was with the other wife, and his mom was just miserable in the situation. So he had a hard time growing up in that, and he wants to be a good dad. He doesn't want to be in that position, and he wants really just to be with her and not to have multiple wives. So hopefully that's the thing. But she's like, it sounds good now, but he's in his early 20s. He has the option. He may change his mind, and especially if she's not able to have this child. So it's goodbye time, and he takes her to the airport, and they're both going their separate ways. And it's always hard for them to say goodbye. And he kind of was a little abrupt. He gives her a kiss and whatnot, but then he kind of walks away. The camera shows him. He talks to producers like, hey, I don't want her to see me like this. I'm really tearing up, and it's really hard for me to say goodbye, which I think is really sweet that they still have that bond with each other. She gets back home a couple weeks later. She does like an early pregnancy test, though it may be a little early, she said, but it's a special test that will detect it early. And they show her in the bathroom. They show her flushing the toilet. I really didn't need to hear all of that stuff, but okay. And congratulations, she has a baby. So I'm very happy for her, but I'm hopeful for their relationship that it works, because there's so many issues with his beliefs as well, and he wasn't honest with her in the beginning either, just as Sonny hasn't been honest with Vea. But at least he followed his belief system and waited till marriage to sleep with her. And he did pull the wool over her eyes. He got her to marry him real fast. Then he slept with her, and then he started revealing things, which I don't think is okay either. But at least he followed his belief system in waiting. And I think that was a little more respectful for him and for his wife to be. But it's a conundrum. It's a challenge. But Tiger Lily seems like she wants to be with it and work with it. So I hope all works well. And Vanya and Yoshko, I hope I'm saying his name right. They actually have this night together. They're in the hot tub. And it looks like they have spent the night together, but she lets us know she's been celibate for 6 years. So I guess she's really wanting to be with somebody. And the next day they're showing the room with clothes littered around the floor. I'm like, okay, she slept with him after, was this the second date? We'll find out it's really the third date. But she says, no, we slept in the same bed, but we didn't sleep together. I'm sure they did some things, but they didn't do the thing, I assume. Because Yoshko was very happy with that night, even though they so-called didn't sleep together. He's completely in love with her. But they do need to talk about the dynamic that he does have a foster child. They're going to have a long-distance relationship. So after they spend this night together where nothing happened, they go up to this mountain, some type of castle. I heard the word Amish. I'm not sure. It's beautiful scenery, beautiful view, of course, and they start talking about the future. And, the fact that he has a son, and she's kind of scared about the scenario because she reveals, with her ex-fiance, they were together for 5 years. He had a daughter, and she got really close to her, and she was growing up and a part of her life. But when they broke up, it's like it broke her because she no longer had contact with him nor the young child anymore. And she made a connection, almost had a family vibe with them. And she doesn't want things to go wrong and end up that way with Yoshko and his child. So they go out, they talk some more, they make a wish on this golden toe or something for what their future will be. And she's like, "Are you my boyfriend? What are we doing?" He's like basically saying she's the woman of his dreams, and even though they'll be long distance, he's gonna try to make this work. She's the one. So after she gets confirmation that that's her boyfriend, she's ready to take him home and do what she's been wanting to do ever since she was talking with the other guy, Bojo. So guys, I try to condense it out, but if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com.